People everywhere are starting to listen to him. He's going on French, British, Italian, Japanese television.
This is the wide world of Weingarten.
Welcome back. It's the wide world of Weingarten, January 28th, Friday. It's 11:27 here in Los Angeles. I'm waiting for the second game of the Serie Caribe to get underway today. It's Venezuela versus Colombia. Earlier this morning, the Panamanian team, the Astronautes, beat Puerto Rico 3-2. It was 1-0 in the eighth inning. They came back and won. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but since Panama has become a participant in the Serie Caribe, I think it's been 2 or 3 years. They've been one of the best blind bets. If you blindly bet Panama or bet Panama plus 1.5 every game, they've done incredibly well, and I don't really have any explanation for it. But Puerto Rico starts the tournament with a loss, and they played the Dominicans tomorrow. After the Dominicans play Mexico later tonight, I bet under 7.5 in the Gigantes Charros game. That's the Dominicans and Mexican teams representing in the tournament. I'm looking for a lot of strikeouts in this game. Ball's not going to carry as far as the Charros are used to at their Mexican stadiums. And I've seen some Charros prices as high as plus 220 offshore. I would definitely bet the Charros money line at plus 220. But I think the under 7.5 is the strongest play here, up to minus 130. The Dominicans, like I mentioned, will face Puerto Rico on Saturday after this game. Puerto Rico just lost 3-2 to Panama, and they're going to need to win on Saturday or risk starting 0-2 in this round robin tournament. So keep an eye on this game tomorrow after what happens in the Mexico-Dominican game tonight. Raul Valdez is starting for the Dominicans tomorrow. He had a brief stint in MLB about 10 years ago. I don't mind him. But that's what I got so far today. The Venezuela game's already started, so I can't really tell you much about that other than I mentioned it this morning. I tweeted it out. It was about 225, minus 225 Venezuela. Then about 245, 250. Last I saw it was at minus 330. Got to keep in mind that these are low limit markets. Even at Chris, it's like $250 bets, so it doesn't really take a lot of people on Twitter max betting this for $250 for the line to start moving. I am fairly sharp, but I'm not that sharp. I'm not moving games $1 on Chris. It's only happening because it's very small limits. So keep that in mind if you see huge moves between what I'm saying and what the line is right before the game. It's not just me responsible for betting it. I'm not betting these games like crazy, and the reason is my best counts, I can get $500 on these. So, takes a lot of $500 bets over and over, clicking buttons to get down any useful amount of money on the game. So, I'll tweet some more stuff out this weekend. Might have another podcast this weekend, depending on how the third round of golf goes in Dubai. So be on the lookout for potentially a weekend episode this weekend. Then I meant to tell this story about Serie Caribe yesterday, and I got sidetracked talking about stuff. So I'll tell the story today. As I mentioned before, I'm quite fond of this baseball tournament, partially because I enjoy scouting fringe players, and I enjoy uncovering a Randy Arozarena or a Jose Urquidy, or the Urias brothers, Ramon and Luis, both played in Mexico. I like finding guys like that. I enjoy finding guys on the fringe more than debating Spencer Torkelson and Michael Harris and Jason Dominguez and any of the top hot prospects that Baseball Prospectus and Fangraphs and every site has people already covering them in great detail. I'm more excited personally about uncovering a Randy Arozarena every couple of years. So that's one of the big reasons I enjoy the Serie Caribe. It's also just a reminder for me that football's ending, baseball's coming back, and it's a chance to get my brain back into thinking about baseball and thinking, critically thinking about how to approach baseball after being off for a couple months and not necessarily thinking about baseball at all or every day. So I like this opportunity to slowly ease myself back, like a pre-spring training sort of spring training deal. I also just enjoy the games. They're fun. The guys love to play. They're representing their countries. They're not being forced to play. They're there because they want to play, and they tend to enjoy it, and the crowds tend to be fun, and the players tend to be more animated than they are in MLB. So it's just a fun tournament all around, and I've had some good memories. I've made good money. I've had some good years, but this whole story is about one year. I don't remember exactly which year it was. I'm gonna say it was 2017. Sometimes my memory is a little fuzzy on the exact years of these things, but I was sitting around one year. I had bet under 7.5 in a game, so the score was probably like 4-3 or 5-2 in the ninth inning, and they were wrapping up. And as ninth innings tend to go, the team that was down, 5-2 or whatever, scored a run. It didn't end up really threatening. They just, sometimes you get on base, score a run, then you get some outs, and the ninth inning's over. But runs do tend to score in the ninth inning. First, as I always say, first and ninth inning are the innings to watch out for. That's where you're going to get your, you're going to win or lose the over-under based on the production in the ninth inning, first and ninth inning, more often than not. So I'm sitting here watching this game. I had some money on the under, nothing crazy, but a decent sized bet. Just one of many bets on the games, but had a nice bet on the under 7.5. Looks like it might win. All of a sudden, goes over ninth inning. I'm kind of a little tilted, so I rage bet Ole Miss. It's college basketball season, so I rage bet on somewhere offshore, one of the bigger offshores. I rage bet enough money on Ole Miss to shake the screen and move it. And I immediately get a text from Aaron Kessler, who at the time was working at the Gold Nugget in Las Vegas. He's a friend of mine. And he goes, Did you just lose the under in the Caribbean World Series game and proceed to bet Ole Miss enough to move the line on screen? And I go, yeah, how'd you know? Because obviously he'd been sitting in their trading room or whatever and saw the run score and saw Ole Miss steam and got a steam alert from Don Best and put two and two together and said, who does he know that bets Caribbean baseball and Ole Miss? And he immediately knew that was me, tilt betting into Ole Miss, which made me realize that my betting patterns were not as anonymous as I thought. If a good friend of mine could basically pick off my moves on the Don Best screen. So I learned a good lesson that day about not being so obvious about some of my moves on screen. Very valuable lesson. Thank you, Aaron. But I also just thought it was hilarious that I was sitting there rage betting Dominican or Caribbean World Series and college basketball, and somebody was able to identify me on the Don Best screen. I realized I was no longer just some post-up player betting at the 5 times Bovada level offshores anymore. So always fond of the Serie Caribe, and that's a memory from gambling that I'll always have. The first time I was outed on the Don Best screen by one of my friends, no less. So thank you for that valuable lesson, friend. And we'll talk more Serie Caribe throughout the weekend and the upcoming week, because there will only be so much Super Bowl talk for the next 2 weeks. We're gonna have to find other stuff to talk about and bet. There's so many shows that are already going to dissect the Super Bowl far more than I have any interest in. So NFL props for the weekend. I said I would have some props. I do have some props. I'm not done yet, but I did go through touchdowns first, anytime two or more. That's mostly what I got. Probably going to be back tomorrow. Hopefully, Justin Harding gives us a good reason to have a weekend podcast, and I will be back with more props. But in the meantime, the early game, I like McCole Hardman 3-1 anytime touchdown. I know Byron Pringle has taken over the number 2 wide receiver role in Kansas City, but don't count out Hardman. He is a very good football player. They get the ball in his hands, he could score touchdowns easily. Josh Gordon, another guy, hasn't seen a lot of action lately. 11-1 anytime touchdown. I saw 90-1 for the first touchdown. I'm not going to go crazy. Don't think he's going to see the field in a situation where he's going to score the first touchdown. But I do think he could score a touchdown at some point in the game. Josh Gordon is also still a pretty good football player, although he looks more like a tight end than the vertical wide receiver he once was. That does not mean he cannot catch the ball. I like anytime 11-1. That's my long shot for the early game. And then no surprise, most of my props for the game focuses on the Rams game, the game I will be at. And unfortunately, with the traffic and getting to the stadium and going to the championship game, and I went to the championship game in 2019 in San Francisco, so I have some sort of idea of how much time it takes to get to the stadium and everything. So I'm probably not even going to get a chance to watch most of this game or bet most of this game, follow it. If I'm lucky, I'll either be tailgating or inside the stadium, and I know it'll be on TV in the stadium, but I don't have much going on so far on the Kansas City game. My focus is the Rams game, and touchdown props. I like Sony Michel anytime 3-1. Obviously, I have that Cam Akers to lead the NFL in rushing at 28-1 prop. So I'm hoping the Rams win, but I think Sonny Michel is still going to get goal line carries potentially. They haven't totally written him out of the playbook. So 3-1 is a pretty good price on a running back who's still splitting carries. It's a 55-45 sort of split, not necessarily a 50-50, but 55-45. He's the 45 guy. 3-1 is a good price. Stafford anytime 6-1. I like that. They ran him in the goal line in the wild card game a couple times. If they get in that situation again, I wouldn't be surprised to just see him keep the ball 6-1, too high. Anytime. Not going to screw around with the first touchdowns there. But I do like a first touchdown on a 49ers player, one of my favorite players, a guy I think I've probably bet and mostly lost money on betting every week this season, although he did score a touchdown once. So yeah, he scored a first touchdown once, so probably broke even there on this next guy. I really would have liked him to have a 2-touchdown game. Still time though. Kyle Juszczyk, one of my favorite players. George Kittle gets most of the attention. Juszczyk, one of the unsung heroes in the 49ers offense. He could run the ball. He could block. He's a good short yardage guy. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. I saw 35-1 at DraftKings for first touchdown, 6-1 anytime. Also at DraftKings, I like both of those. FanDuel was much shorter. It was like 24-1 for the first touchdown. So you really got to get 35-1 at least. I'm still looking and waiting for Circa to open there. If I want to bet some more, pick off some higher numbers if I see them. 40s would not be crazy to see a Juszczyk first touchdown in the 40. Also, you have to bet Juszczyk. If you're going to bet him anytime at 6-1, you got to bet him to score 2 touchdowns. Ideally 100-1 plus. I usually get 125-1 via the in-game engine that offers live props as soon as the game starts. That's usually my go-to. Juszczyk 2 touchdowns, 125-1. So I like that. And then even bigger number, Brandon Powell, the Rams kick returner. This is a special teams only guy. You can't really count on him to be part of any offensive packages, but I do like 100-1 for a small bet on the first touchdown in the event that he breaks a kick return, punt return. He scored a punt return touchdown. I think it was week 16 versus the Vikings when they clinched a playoff spot. I say small because I'm more confident that he could break a anytime touchdown at 18-1 than I expect him to score the first touchdown. But you'd kick yourself if you didn't grab the 100-1 and you just won the 18-1 anytime and he scores the first touchdown. So I bet both. 18-1 much bigger than the 100-1. I also considered trying to parlay Powell, the 2 touchdown prop, with something else. So FanDuel does this thing that I'll totally sort of give you an idea on how to manipulate their single game parlay engine a little bit. But like, if you find something you like, and in this case, what I like didn't actually exist at FanDuel, but I wanted Brandon Powell 2 touchdowns at 100-1. He's not listed at FanDuel. He's part of the field. The defense special teams at FanDuel. Had he been listed, what I would have done, because 100-1 sounds good, but 100-1 still probably short on Brandon Powell to score 2 touchdowns in a game. It just sounds big. You're like, oh, 100-1. Well, you bet anything 100-1, but would you be happy betting something 100-1 if you knew the true odds were like 200-1 or 300-1 or even 400-1? You might think you're getting a deal, but you're actually getting an awful deal. So had I been able to find Brandon Powell 100-1 at FanDuel, I would have used their single game parlay engine and manipulated the odds higher by taking something like Matt Stafford over 6.5 rushing yards, parlaying it, and then doing Matt Stafford under 6.5 rushing yards, parlaying that too. So I'd be parlaying 100-1 with like minus 110, and it's either going to go under 6.5 or over 6.5. You're gonna win one leg of that either way. It's going to multiply the 100-1 leg significantly higher than what it would have if you had just played the 100-1. So if you're gonna ever do something where you're betting like a special teams only guy or a kick returner to score something like 2 touchdowns in a game, make sure you know how to manipulate a single game parlay engine in your favor. Single game parlays right now are hot. Don't fall for the bad ones. There's a lot of correlated stuff. You saw with the Draymond Green stuff recently. There's injury stuff you could parlay. For example, I saw a dude I follow on Twitter last night that had an amazing sweat, and I was so jealous of him for a brief moment that I thought he was going to win. That I was like, oh my God, this is such a great bet. I can't believe, I didn't throw any money on it, but it was like $25 to win 13,000 on a correlated parlay of Anthony Davis under points, rebounds, and assists. And Anthony Davis hurt his wrist and was headed to the locker room early. Looked like it was going to win, and then somehow he came back and was healthy enough to come in the game. Although they probably should have just rested him and punted the game that they ended up, I think, losing by 20 points or something. I don't remember the final score. I know they lost. The game went under. But yeah, so if you know how to manipulate a single game parlay engine, there's all sorts of cool stuff you can do right now. But don't fall for the bad stuff, because sometimes you think you're taking 100-1 and it's a good number when you should really figure out a way to get that 100-1 to a 200-1 or 300-1 or whatever. But that's sort of one of the things that will you will learn, and then this will help you be a better, which is one of the goals of this show. If you're still listening, gonna take a break real quick, and we're gonna come back and update the golf world. So stay tuned. Welcome back, wide world of Weingarten. Second half of the show today, basically updating the going-ons in the golf betting world. The Farmers Insurance Open, the third round, is underway on a Friday. It's got an early Saturday finish, so the players can watch the NFC AFC Championship games on Sunday, and mostly so they can get a jump on the travel time to Saudi Arabia for the Bonesaw Classic next weekend, which I'm sure we will cover in great detail when the field is finalized in the coming days. I think the deadline is probably like today or tomorrow, so we'll know what's going on. But that'll probably be like next week. We'll get into the Bonesaw. It'll actually be good betting, I think, for what it is. But the Farmers right now, Rahm, Adam Schenk, and Justin Thomas all tied at 13 under. The joke I meant was Justin Thomas, Adam Schenk, John Rahm all tied. Justin Thomas, John Rahm will be playing match play this weekend for the championship, but there's a couple other guys in contention. Cameron Tringali, Paul Malnati, Luke List, who I have a little bit on at 75-1 at 10 under. Will Zalatoris, Jason Day. I see all kind of creeping up near the top of the leaderboard right now. Thashit Thigala is at 9 under. I like him a lot. I bet him at 170 or something. I don't know, some big number on Thigala. Don't expect him to contend with John Rahm at this point in his career, but hey, stranger things have happened. A little further down the list, Maverick McNeely, 7 under, still 6 shots behind Rahm. Gonna really need to turn on some turbo boosters to get up by the lead, but a top 10 is still possible. Dustin Johnson, 6 under. Don't see him really pushing for the win this weekend. Bryson DeChambeau didn't make the cut. Ricky Fowler didn't make the cut. Max Homa, who I like, didn't make the cut. Let's see, anybody else over here? Excuse me 1 second, I can look. Sam Burns was a popular pick, also failed to make the cut. Yeah, John Rahm, he's like plus 120 right now. I mentioned you can grab him like 2-1 yesterday if you had a chance to grab him live. It's basically going to be him versus Thomas, and Adam Schenk is there. Got to give Adam Schenk some credit. He had like 7 birdies in a row yesterday, but the market is not really giving Adam Schenk much of a chance with Thomas and Rahm up there tied with him on the leaderboard. I'm indifferent. This tournament, I'd prefer Rahm to win, but I don't have a bunch of money on it. Most of my guys aren't in contention. I don't expect like Luke List or anybody farther down to really jump up and fight this weekend. So go Rahm. Let's get on to Pebble Beach and the Bonesaw next week. But over in Dubai, there's a lot more going on in Dubai, and I slept through a little bit of this last night. I was randomly checking my phone and seeing the scores, and I'd see Harding going up, Hardy going down, and Harding finished the day. He shot a 68, followed a 65, a first round 65 with the second round 68. He's currently 11 under, 2 clear of the rest of the field. Tyrell Hatton second at -9. Hatton is the favorite because he's a much better golfer than Justin Harding supposedly. Eric Van Rooyen also at 8 under. Richard Dickey Bland 7 under, as is Joaquin Hansen, who I was compelled to bet a little tiny bit on as a little hedge, but might have probably just wasted some money there. Victor Hovland and Rory McIlroy, 2 of the favorites, are also still very much in contention at 7 under. Would not count them out. Would not count either of them out until the end of the 4th round, when they are mathematically practically eliminated from winning, and even then I would still be worried that I'm going to lose, because that's how I always am in golf. A little farther down, Sam Horsfeld, 6 under, still in contention. Peters Weisberg at 5 under. Peters was last week's winner. Brandon Stone, who I liked at 170-1, is at 4 under. Mattathias Schmid, 3 under at 225-1. Colin Morikawa shot was at a 73. Excuse me. Yes. Second round, 73. Shot 1 over par. Sergio Garcia, also worse than that, shot 2 over par in the second round. Neither of them made up any ground. And hopefully I'm not the only one who took my advice and bet some Justin Harding. The only thing at this point I regret is I didn't bet it bigger. I should have, but I do have a fairly large to win on Justin Harding. It's still 5 figures, mid 5 figures. Can't hate on that, but it could have been way bigger. I mean, 140-1, it only takes $500, $600 to really make it a fun day, fun weekend. But no, I have about $300 on Harding, split between 100 to 1 and 150 to 1. So it's still a nice to win, but not the biggest, and only a 2-shot lead. But we are through the weekend with a 2-shot lead over the rest of the field. He's 4 shots clear of Victor Hovland, Rory McIlroy. I do like Justin Harding a lot. I've talked about him. He got like a 3rd place finish at the Masters a couple years ago, if you recall. He won top South African, I believe. Remember winning money on that. He's not a bad golfer. He just missed getting his PGA Tour card. This is like 2 years ago, I think. He was just on the cusp of qualifying, and he had finished and he thought he qualified, and someone else hit a birdie late and it knocked him out by a 1/10 of a point. And so instead of having his tour card, he's on the Euro Tour, where they're playing for $8 million this weekend in Dubai, which is actually relatively comparable to the $8.4 million prize pool in Torrey Pines. But you just don't, it's not the same just missing your tour card. And I felt terrible for Justin Harding when he got knocked out from securing his tour card. But his loss on the PGA Tour has been our gain on the European Tour recently, and I've done well backing him in various spots to contend and to win. He's won in Africa a couple times. He was doing very well. He blew up the last round in South Africa a couple weeks ago. It cost me some money there, but his form has been very good. And 2 shots clear, like I said, going into the weekend at 140 to 1, at 100 to 1, you really just can't hate on that. The goal is he tees off, I think, at midnight Pacific is the final group tee time. So he'll be playing in the final group with Tyrrell Hatton tonight. They'll tee off at midnight. I will most likely be up watching it. Not necessarily watching the whole round, but I'll probably watch the beginning. I usually fall asleep fairly early into the round unless some crazy stuff's happening. Like I mentioned before, I'm up with the dog, making sure there's no poo anywhere, because nobody wants to find surprise poops and step on them, especially when they're big smelly dog poops. But so I'll be up with the dog. Periodically I'll check the scores, and if anything good happens, if Justin Harding does not implode, remember this is golf, so just because we're in the lead right now doesn't mean that the guy we bet on isn't going to implode at any minute. If Harding gets through to the 4th round near or on the lead, I will definitely have a podcast come out on Saturday morning where I will discuss hedging options and what to look for, how to play it down the stretch, how to look at live, how the delays are with live. Because remember, this event's happening in Dubai, so it's being transmitted from Dubai to a live provider, from a live provider to your computer. So there's obviously going to be latency between what's happening on the course and what you can bet on. That also comes into play for hedging, and it is hard to hedge. You hope that you're going to get a match play situation in round 4 for a hedge. If you really hope that the market is essentially going to tell you that it's Harding versus one player and that you can bet, $1,000 or whatever number you want on the other player and have some sort of decent position on both. What you don't want to get into is a situation where you have Harding and now you have $1,000 on another guy, and there's a 3rd golfer, a 4th golfer, a 5th golfer, or even a 6th golfer that are in contention all of a sudden down the stretch, the 4th round on the back 9. So you don't want to hedge too quick, and we'll talk about that this weekend, provided Harding could keep his form strong one more round. That's the update in Dubai. I wanted to add the LPGA. If you'll excuse me, I'm just logging in to make sure my latest numbers are still what they are. But the Gainbridge LPGA is underway. Lydia Ko, one of the best golfers in the world, is currently at 11 under, I believe. Yes, 11 under. Through 2 rounds. Danielle Kang, last week's winner, is at 9 under. Maverick McNeely's girlfriend. Lydia Ko, if you could bet her live plus 225. I'm not telling you to go crazy on live LPGA, but I bet Lydia Ko, just like $500. But Lydia Ko plus 225. I think she is one of the best golfers in men or women's golf. She's very very impressive golfer. I think her like greens and regulation are off the charts for male or female. And I really do hope that there are more LPGA, PGA split fields in the future. There's quality golf on the LPGA, and betting a 50-1 winner on the LPGA Tour pays just the same as betting a 50-1 winner on the PGA Tour. So I happen to enjoy betting on women's golf just as I do senior tour golf. I enjoy any golf I could fall asleep to on Sunday. But Lydia Ko plus 225 live, if you can grab that for Gainbridge LPGA, that's what I like there. See Roms plus 125 or so live on the trading in San Diego at the Farmers. Nothing there. I see Luke List 23-1 is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 down. He's the 6th favorite. I like him as any number between 10-1 and 50-1, and then Sashit Thagala, who I mentioned, at various numbers in the 80s and the hundreds. I see his number is closing to the 50s. He is at 10 under. Obviously, he's still got severe ground to make up to get on par with Rahm, Shank, and Thomas at 13. But Sashit Thagala making a nice run. That's one of my boys. If he can get it done, that would really make my weekend going into the championship game spectacular. So go Thagala, go Justin Harding. I'm very excited for my boys, and hopefully we'll be back tomorrow to talk more about how to hedge. Hopefully, what should be some nice tickets. I'll see Justin Rose popping up. By the way, he'll be a thorn in somebody's side. I'm expecting tomorrow in San Diego. Keep an eye on him. Maybe we'll bet some matchups tomorrow as well, some round 4 matchups. So tune in. Thanks for listening.